Happy Saturday, guys. It's Aviation Maintenance Technician Day, one of my favorite holidays of the year. And stay tuned. Well, hello, guys. This is Cindy, Bucket List Coach, Web Show Live, Lifestyle and Aviation Podcast. So I have Jery Medina, but we're going to watch a quick 12-minute video.
Biobaronic. I was an F-14 radar intercept officer, or RIO, and Top Gun instructor. And I saw in my calendar of aviation events that today is Aviation Maintenance Technician Day. And I thought, yeah, what a great idea. I think like most people who want to fly, and I was a RIO, I joined and I was, amazed at the aircraft and the mission. But then pretty quickly you meet all these dozens and hundreds of young people who are technically qualified, committed, enthusiastic, and they are what makes the aircraft operate. And so I think it's great that we take a day and we recognize them, think about them, and commemorate them. I was amazed at the young men and women who populated naval aviation squadrons. I'm still friends with many of them. And to all aviation maintenance technicians, I say cheers. Thanks for everything you do.
All about maintainers. I believe that the maintainers are the most important part of aviation. How do you see maintainers being involved?
You know what? My son used to always look at that and say, without them, I'm nothing. So exactly. he got to appreciate the fact that the maintainers kept the aircraft safe, kept it flying, and gave them the tools to do what they do best. So in his process, I know when he was overseas, he coordinated a couple of efforts to, within the Air Force community, everything's kind of like a competition. So if you were maintainer of the quarter or maintainer of the year, he was instrumental in coordinating efforts to get them flights in an F-16, which is pretty powerful for those guys. A lot of his buddies that were maintainers still stay in contact with us, and they're amazing people because, again, without them, they don't get the opportunity to fly because the planes aren't working. So maintainers are a critical thing. And even when Stephen was in Melbourne, he went to Melbourne High, and he had one of his responsibilities was to go to the high school and talk about himself and the Thunderbirds. And he surprised his maintainers and took them with him. And he had a whole segment on the maintainers. And it was really special. They were in awe. They didn't realize that he was going to put them on stage and highlight them.
Do shout outs to how important they are for aviation.
Ben Anderson is my maintainer. And I tell you what, I won't go to an air show if he's not there. I mean, it's a peace of mind knowing that he knows the airplane and he's going to take care of it. And if he sees something he doesn't like, he's got the authority. He's like, sorry, Jeff, we're not flying this show. We're not flying this for whatever reason. He doesn't even have to have a reason. If there's something either with me or with the airplane, he's not just maintaining the airplane, but he watches over me and he watches over the entire operation, which is important to have. I mean, I wouldn't feel safe without it. It's priceless.
No, and he's got your 6, right?
Yep, absolutely.
Yeah. Good stuff.
What do maintainers mean to you? Go ahead, Smokehouse.
Well, nobody does what they do in our business without the maintainers. I mean, those guys took their job so seriously. I never once showed up to an airplane that wasn't absolutely, to the best of their abilities, perfect, because they knew that your life was in their hands. I never met one single maintainer that just didn't take his job so seriously. And quite honestly, if he wasn't good at it, they put him someplace else because they only needed the best.
Exactly. Taco.
I was watching Masters of the Air, and there was a scene in one of the episodes where they're taxiing out, and if the airplane doesn't take off, I mean, they were watching the airplanes take off. They were leading the bombing mission, and the number 3 wasn't starting. And the young mechanic, he jumps up in the wheel well, and he literally is adjusting the magneto on the engine as they're taxiing, and he's yelling, "We're number 4 in line. We're number 2 in line. We're number 1." He's like, "Sir, I got it. Start it." And the guy starts the engine, gets it going, and they take off. And you're going, that is awesome, because without the mechanics, we're not going flying. We can't do our job. So that right there was every mechanic needs to have that before in their presentation. Anyway,
Sir, maintainers, what do they mean to you that you're still on?
Well, it's exactly like Taco said, but frankly, I started my career as a maintainer. I worked on police helicopters, and I was pumping gas, and I was out there parking airplanes at all hours of the day and night, polishing, cleaning. Trust me, cleaning a giant corporate jet by hand is a little different than washing your car. So I've been on that side of the equation as too, and I know how hard those guys work, and a carrier has limited space. So when I think about our mechanics at airlines, they do amazing work making sure those airplanes are ready to go. But I'll tell you what, in the military, on a carrier where you have limited space, they're working 12-hour shifts, sometimes longer, 12 on, 12 off, because they don't have the room for 3 shifts. So you'll see these guys, going. You've never seen people that work so hard, young people that do everything they can to make sure those airplanes are ready to rock and roll when they're needed. Very impressed, especially during Desert Storm, during those combat operations. The airplanes were just pristine. It was amazing.
Rob.
What did maintainers mean to me, Cindy?
Mm-hmm.
Well, me not necessarily being a maintainer, all I got to do was launch these guys into the sky. But I will tell you that my Swanee Leakster says 12-hour shift. We never had a 12-hour shift. It was 24-hour shifts.
Yeah. Oh, wow.
We launched nonstop. And then as soon as the launching was done, well, guess what? That catapult had to be 100% availability as soon as they were ready to go. We always had to have an alert cat hot and ready to shoot. So, being in that environment is nothing like what people can possibly even imagine. My time on the flight deck, associated with the Navy, associated with naval aviation, taught me so many different things. And it's about work ethic, and it's time management, discipline, all those different things. But every single time one of those jets took off, the Tomcat was like its own animal. It's like its blood was hydraulic fluid, pumping through its veins. It was like a living, breathing animal to me. But the person in that cockpit and the rear office, those lives were more important to me than anything right there at that time, until the holdback broke, the launch valves opened, and they went off the end of my catapult. That was the only important thing to me. And so that's why every time they left, I hand saluted each one of them. That was letting them know, your lives are in my hands right now. You're in good hands, and have a good flight. See you when you get back. Maintainers that I knew maintained those jets as if they were their own vehicles. I mean, they had a personal and a professional attachment to what it is they had their hands on.
Yeah, that's really, you have such a great story, and I love having all of you on, and, getting you back on just means so much to me. And this is a huge part of my heart. So thank you so much. Lorenzo.
Well, I would be the first to say, just like in the real world, behind every great man is a great woman, and same thing, vice versa. And you'll see the same thing in the maintenance departments. The maintenance departments that stood out amongst others within the F-14 community were simply none other than the leadership that was above it. And I can give you a good example of that, obviously running our webpage. I had recently told a little story about Heater, and we're talking 3 decades ago. His maintainers are cheering and screaming like he was the greatest experience of their life. His leadership that he led his squadron with his maintainers created the best maintenance department and created people that 30 years later look up to him still, seeking his leadership in the desire. And it's, again.
And Lorenzo, you need to say that's not typical.
No, it
that
is
doesn't
not.
happen everywhere.
Yep.
Dare I say, I'm not even gonna. But yeah, so I mean, Heater is a reason that, we're all here. We're all inspired. And you can imagine his leadership at his level and what it does to a squadron. And you'll see the same thing in Leekster Squadron and the Diamondbacks. And, their maintainers are so proud to have served with them distinctly, not just any generation Diamondbacks, but to be there when they were there. And that's the same thing we see with Heater, whether it's Wolfpack with VF1 and, VF21 freelancers. Incredible leadership at every level, sir.
Well, you all know how much I love to fly and fight, and you can't fly and fight without an airplane. So I love the maintainers, and I think everybody in the ready room did. And it was totally different than what Rob was talking about. I don't think anyone in our squadron was ever afraid to come in the ready room or talk to us on the flight deck. In fact, we encouraged that. We even had tutoring programs because every officer had a college degree and they majored in something, and all the troops were doing either remote learning or trying to advance their education. So you could come in the ready room after flight ops in my squadrons, and right there in the ready room chair is one of the troops getting tutored by one of my officers.
That's cool.
And I must have re-enlisted close to 24 of my guys over the years, airborne in an airplane, take them up and go supersonic, do all that kind of stuff. So people touched on it, but we depend on them for our very lives. Their lives are in our hands. If we screw something up and they're on the flight deck, they're in deep trouble, and vice versa. So it was mutual, and there was just a lot of love and respect in the squadrons I was in. And they make everything possible. So all the glory that you can talk about never happens without the maintainers.
We depend on our maintainers to keep us safe and the aircraft in tip-top shape according to FAA regulations. Without them, we can't get off the ground. That's what it comes down to. They're highly skilled individuals, whether they're in the military or civilian world. So we have a very tight relationship with them. We coordinate everything, and just keep the airplane safe. And talking about my my little brother there is going to get on the podcast shortly. He was F-14 maintenance, and again, highly skilled individual, and then those fighter pilots depend on him and his co-workers there, his shipmates, to get these airplanes up and running and ready for mission status. So just a great shout out to all the maintenance guys who probably don't get a lot of the glory. Mostly the flight crews do, but again, without them, we can't get the wheels off the ground. So big thank you to you guys, and happy Maintainers Day.
Very cool. Well, how about that?
Wow.
Wow, does that warm your heart or what?
See that one coming.
So we could talk about some more aviation bucket lists towards the end, but let's talk about your original aviation bucket list. So talk about your squadron, your whole process of being a maintainer.
Yeah, well, I was assigned to first from graduating from Great Lakes Naval Base, which was pretty interesting experience, just to say the least. But when I received my orders after graduating from Great Lakes, I couldn't believe it. When I was told I was reporting to VF-213, the Fighting Blacklions, I was in awe. I heard about that squadron. I knew quite a bit about that squadron. As a matter of fact, the fact that my brother, who was Enterprise at the time, and the Black Lion squadron was assigned, the Air Wing was assigned to that carrier at the time. So felt like it was kind of in the family, and I felt really comfortable when I received my orders to VF 213, and I couldn't wait to get there. Here's this 18-year-old kid out of high school from Chicago, sudden uh, sent to go work on F-14s. I mean, at the time, it just didn't seem real. And until I arrived Diego and reported to Miramar Naval Air Station, now Marine Corps Air Station, of course. And I reported to my squadron, and I was nervous. I was a little nervous, a little scared, had a lot of emotions. I was also excited because I knew I was in for I knew I was in for an exciting time, an exciting experience.
Definitely. Wow.
First time, I can still remember the first day that I walked out and walking up F-14s. It just didn't seem real. It was just just an. I still remember I had already known a couple of people already in the squadron that had reported there, so it was nice. I felt like I was going to fit in, and but I knew there was a lot of work, and a lot of learning ahead of me. But I knew it was going to be something very exciting, and eventually I knew I was going to see some aircraft carrier time. But yeah, reporting to VF 213, just reporting to the line division, and which is basically started out as a plane captain, and that was a very interesting experience.
Wow.
Yeah, yeah, I still remember reporting at NES Miramar and to my squadron, and I knew.
So we have a message here from Javier. Can you read that below?
Let's see. Oh, it's kind of, I have to read it to me, unfortunately.
Yeah, so it says, hello to all. Maintainers to me includes maintenance and ground crew. After the Navy, my first job was with American Airlines, working the ramp while going to college and flight school. So I am proud of these two perspectives in aviation.
Yeah.
Javier.
Yeah, what states there is true. There's so much involved in it, and aviation is just it's a whole spectrum to aviation, but it all has to come together to make it work. The pilots have a very important job. My brother can attest to that, of course. There's just so much to do, and I've seen him firsthand. I've flown with him many times in the cockpit when he was training, when he was first learning to train to be a pilot. I couldn't how much knowledge was involved, and but what was really exciting was that I just came out of my experience from the Navy, and everything that I learned as far as the anatomy of an aircraft. Just I never really grasped how complicated an aircraft is, regardless whether it's a turboprop or a four-engine, a 747, any type of aircraft, no matter the size, it's a complex machine. And yeah, it takes everybody, ground crew maintenance, ground crewmen, maintenance people, ultimately up to the pilot, and everyone has to work together to make it work.
Yeah, and those green shirts too, right there on the capsule.
Yes, very important. Couldn't do without everybody. Of course, you're referring to the flight deck crew. Yeah, aboard the aircraft carrier, as you heard in some of those other guys there that yeah, everybody plays an important part. There's nobody that plays a small part. No one. Everybody plays an important part, and it's and it also it comes down pretty much a matter of life and death. Somebody doesn't do what they're supposed to do, it could get somebody hurt or, possibly worse.
Yes. So I'm going to talk about my aviation dream, and then you could add yours. So in the 80s, the early 80s, I lived near Travis Air Force Base, so my very first love was Thunderbirds. And right after high school, I started working civil service for a Maryland shipyard there in the Vallejo, San Francisco Bay Area. And that very same year is when Top Gun came out. And that is when I had the full love for the F-14 Tomcat. And it's one of my favorite planes. Also, 777 is another plane of mine. What inspired you to be in the Navy and, be a maintainer? What was your inspiration?
My inspiration was my brother.
Oh, I love that. That's so amazing.
Prior to his time in the Navy, inspiration started. Well, of course, I think what many of us can attest to, Top Gun being the one of the motivators. Movie The Final Countdown from 1980, of course, which the F-14 played a huge role in it as well as just the visuals of an aircraft carrier. And no, my brother to me was him being assigned. I can still remember when he was assigned to the USS Enterprise, and he invited my father and myself to a Tiger. They called it a Tiger. I believe today they call it a family cruise, which we were able to go out and visit. And I thought it was really exciting. Back, my father and I, back in the summer of 1987, we flew out to Oakland, California, to the Alameda Naval Air Base that was once.
Oh, yeah.
And so that at the time that the Enterprise was docked alongside the USS Carl Vinson, which it was an amazing experience to see a aircraft carrier up close rather than in movies and, in news reports. To actually see it up close was something so gigantic that I can't believe you can't put it together. It's massive. And we did, and we got to. Lo and behold, I can still remember the F-14 demo that we were given, the flight airship. They were by two F-13 Tomcat, believe it or not.
Wow.
I thought 3 years later, 2 years later, I would be assigned to that very department. It was an exciting experience. I got to see what life was like. A 2-day cruise down the Pacific from San Diego, and got to see a lot. Got to experience a lot. Got just to get a small carrier life, what naval aviation was about. But it really motivated me. And my brother really took us under his wing there.
Wow.
The USS Enterprise. We actually get to sail on it, spend a night on it.
Oh, man.
Got to experience a lot, and that really motivated me. When I could still remember coming home from that trip and saying to myself, you know what, this is what I want to do. Signed up. Yeah, I signed up a little over a year later, about a year and a half later, and I left once I graduated high school in 1989. I went right to left a few months later for Great Lakes, and that's how the whole journey started. And my brother had gotten out at 8, but here I am going in and not knowing what to expect, but I knew I wanted to be in naval aviation, and it was definitely something I wish I could do over again. It was an experience I wish I could relive.
Well, can you tell us the typical day of what your typical day looks like as a maintainer?
Sure. Basically, I was assigned to the once I spent time as a plane captain, which I learned. I basically I learned pretty much the anatomy of the aircraft. So I learned a lot at being a plane captain. Once I spent time there, I was sent to airframes the airframes division, which pretty much the structure of the airplane, and you basically work on the body of the aircraft, hydraulic systems, the pneumatic systems of an airplane, which, of course, the F-14 was all mechanical aircraft. I mean, everything was hydraulics. So come in the morning or the afternoon, whichever your shift required. And, you days work had about 13, 14 aircraft in our squadron, most out on the flight line, coming in, and finding out what aircraft needs to be worked on, what's required, what kind of required, whether they need to pull an engine or this one has a hydraulic leak or, tire needs to be changed, and so there was a lot of things that needed to be done. And we come in and you get assigned an aircraft, and it's not a one-person job, I can tell you that. Time there was something that needed to be worked on, whether a hydraulic system, an actuator, all this Navy jargon that we learned. There was always something on these airplanes. They were flight ready, they were ready for flight status. And so, yeah, it was typically the days would be, whole day would be 12 hours. Sometimes we'd go 13, 14, 15 hours. I can remember some days working up to almost 20 hours on one airplane. There was some F-14 was a very complex aircraft to work on, particularly because of the sweeping wing mechanism. And if anybody who's worked on that,
There's one from Javier.
Oh yeah, there we go. That's us. That's me and my dad. Yes, 1987. That was us showing us the very roomy bunk room.
Wow.
Oh wow, those spaces on a carrier those are no joke. I mean, you value your space, you value your privacy. That was. But I'll tell you what, it was a great experience. Yeah, but being an aircraft maintainer, I mean, a huge kind of responsibility, and that what you're doing, you have people's lives in your hands, and as these previous maintainers have said, there's no room for mistakes here. There's no room for mistakes. You have to know what you're doing. You have to be sure. You have to be confident of what you're doing, because it could. I can attest to a couple of times. An aircraft was worked on, taken out. It's taken up to fly and then back for a hydraulic problem. A warning light in the cockpit. That's something we never want to see. But thankfully, the pilot get the aircraft back safely. Both the pilot and the. But that's something we never would like to see. So we took pride in the work we did. These are long days. Not sure how the days are, in this era of the F-18 Hornet, but yeah, in the days of the F-14, they were long days. Very, like I said, very complex aircraft to work on. But you learn a lot. And, you make mistake, which you hope you never do. But you hope that you learn from it. And I took my share of ass chewings. I've been my share of ass chewing. I'm surprised I have any left. So, but no, the commanding officer, our executive officer, I can still remember them, Commander Lee Mason, Commander Steve Drake. They were wonderful. They were our they were our go-to people and our maintenance officers. We had so much leadership above us, and of course they were depending on us to make sure that we did our job as maintainers, making sure that this landing gear, this hydraulic, or the engine, or as far as the aircraft machinist, the engines are in good running order. But as far as like hydraulic systems, that was a huge responsibility. The F-14 was a leaker. It was a leaking airplane.
Oh, really? Wow. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I could still recall hydraulic fluid. Sometimes a drop would accidentally fall in your mouth. It doesn't taste good, but yeah, it's there was a lot of maintenance. You had to be on your A game to make sure you're doing the correct maintenance, and you hope that everything works out. But we had good people. We had a good team. I could recall actually still in touch with some of them on Facebook.
Oh, that's amazing. Yeah.
It was amazing, and so it's a lot of responsibility. But you got a lot of good people working alongside. Everybody's watching out. And we had great leadership. Uh, um, we had one of our division officers, had our maintenance officer. Sadly, our division officer, Lieutenant Matt Clare, wonderful F-15 pilot. Sadly, he was killed on a ramp strike on the USS Abraham Lincoln in 1990.
Oh, wow.
Long after I left the squadron, and I didn't know about it till later. And I actually have a couple of his evaluations that he gave me from when I was a plane captain. I have like 3 of these from him. His signature's there at the bottom, and these 1991, and these I cherish. But he was one of our all the officers was definitely one that we can count on, our go-to guy. And yeah, he was just a wonderful human being. And and I think everybody really kept that squadron together, and everybody came together. If something wasn't done right, it's going to get done, and you only make the mistake once.
Wow. Okay. Well, we have about 5 minutes left on the show. Anything else you'd like to talk about? Well, let's talk really quick. They have the U.S. Navy Distinguished Visitors Program. So if you're a civilian, for me, I'm an aviation podcaster. I've been wanting to do that for a few years. So that's on my bucket list, is to be a part of that program. And thanks to Javier, he's the one who told me about that program. So it's still on my aviation bucket list, on the top of my aviation bucket list. And of course, I applied for the U.S. Thunderbirds program. It's called the Hometown Hero Program. And hopefully, upcoming air show, I'll have an opportunity to get in one of those rigs. That'd be really amazing for me. How about you? Anything else? Anybody else you'd like to shout out to, or inspire someone to do what you did, or to be a part of the Navy?
Wouldn't even know where to start, but I know that special shout out to to all my fellow VF 213 Blacklion members that might be watching. Great group of people. My brother. If it weren't for my brother's inspiration, I wouldn't have the experience that I was able to enjoy. And this is my prize.
Yes, I just posted that, and that's a much better picture. Yeah, that's amazing.
One of my prize photographs that would not be able to. I don't think that wouldn't become a reality. But yeah, my brother was definitely a big inspiration to me. Both of us aviation buffs. For anybody that wants to get into it, to get into the Navy, join the Navy, get into naval aviation. Don't let anything stop you. It's fun. It's challenging. Challenging job to get into, but you reap the rewards of it, and in the end, you're proud of it. I'm proud of the job that I did, playing a small part with fighting black, playing a small part in the Tomcat. So anybody who would like to get into something like this, go for it. Just go for it. It's an interesting background. It's an interesting field to get into. There's so much. It's so fast, and there's so many places and there's so many areas of naval aviation, or any type of aviation, any other aviation, Air Force, Army, Marine, civilian, commercial. Aviation maintenance is a great field to get into. I highly recommend it. It's great to see something be aircraft being worked on, whether you're working on a Cessna 172 all the way up to a 747.
Yeah.
It's a great career to get into, and I highly recommend.
And we have a lot of local A&P schools out here too. How about where you live? You're in Chicago, right?
Yeah, in Chicago, we have one that just that opened up, but it doesn't really have access to it. I'm actually looking back. I left a career as a firefighter, but I'm actually looking for a second career, and I'm planning on going back into aviation.
Oh, that'd be amazing. Is it gonna be a pilot?
Yeah,
that's amazing. Yeah.
License, or or go back to get my AMP. Either way, I miss aviation. I loved it. I've always loved it. And I think it's just a wonderful career to get into. There's, like I said, there's so much to it. The experience will last a lifetime. So yeah, it's definitely something for people to really look at. So if you really love airplanes, you love aviation, highly recommend it.
Well, thank you so much for coming on. We're gonna pop off because we got to get to our day. But one last question: how do you want to celebrate Aviation Maintenance Technician Day today?
Oh, just everybody, with all these air shows, people just go out and enjoy shows, watch, enjoy the the summer of air shows that are coming up, and watch these planes do their thing. Whether it's a small acrobatic group or the Blue Angels or the Thunderbirds. Watch planes perform, enjoy it, embrace it, and celebrate. And it takes so many people, not just the pilot. There's so many people that play an important role in making these things happen. So go out to your local air show and celebrate aviation. Or thank a pilot, thank a maintenance guy, that works on these aircraft and keep them flying.
Yeah, I always do that. That's really great. So closing out, I'm going to give everybody a couple dates. So the week of August 19th is National Aviation Week. The 19th is Aviation Day. And then November is Aviation History Month. So we'll have Javier and Leekster and Taco and all these great aviation enthusiasts back on. So is there a page that you would like to share? Do you have like a YouTube or Facebook page for people to follow you?
Well, I am on Facebook. Just Jery Medina on Facebook. Don't really have anything related on YouTube or anything like that. But I do tend to post a lot of my F-14 photos that I have, and some new ones that I just recently visit to San Diego, and an F-14 that I found. I try to post those whenever I can. I definitely would encourage people to check them out.
Well, awesome. Well, thank you so much, Jery. And I'm going to put you in the green room while I close out and just hang tight for a few minutes. Okay. All right. Thank you. All right, guys, ladies, thank you so much for watching. And we'll hope to see you at an upcoming podcast, and make sure to celebrate every day. There's the day we're born, the day that we pass away. What are you doing in between that time? This is Cindy at Buckless Coach Web Show Live.